Oh, cool. Hello. Hope everyone's having a nice day in day whatever of quarantine. Um, I am just waiting on Gabriella to come and join me. So just making sure that I don't miss the request. I am well, thank you. Oh, here we go.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. I did it. I got on.
Yeah, well done. It's actually really
Oh,
easy.
yeah, it was easy. It was good.
It's nice to see you.
Oh, how you doing?
Good. It's been a while, hasn't it?
No, I don't actually know when I last saw you.
Where are you right now?
I'm at home in Somerset.
Did
Yeah.
I hear that you moved or are you still in the same place?
We moved, but only about 15 minutes away from where we were.
Right.
Yeah, so
How's
you're in
how's
London or you're in LA?
Yeah, I'm in London.
Yeah.
I've been living in London for like the last year. We didn't actually live in LA for that long, but I think
Yeah,
because we were back and forth so much and kind of still are that people get confused as to where I live.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
how's quarantine been treating you?
It's fine. I mean, it's super busy. Three kids. Um,
Yeah.
so
Can't believe you have three kids.
I know, I know, it's mad, isn't it?
How old are
Them
they now?
all Bulldog as well.
Huh?
I basically had them all on Bulldog.
Yeah, because Sasha's your oldest, right?
Sasha's the oldest, so I had him. And then I was pregnant with Shiloh in the my first series, your second.
Yeah.
And then
You were
the
breastfeeding on this third.
series he was on set. And then, oh no, sorry, so it would have been, no, yeah, third series. And then I think fourth series, I was pregnant in the show, but actually not pregnant in real life.
Right.
Yeah, and
That's always how it goes.
no, and then the fifth series, I would have been just pregnant at the end with Sky.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
And do you have plans for more?
Not at the moment. Sky's only 6 months old,
I
so
know you have
and
I know you have a very big family, so I always remember you saying that you want a big family.
yeah, no, I mean I have three boys now, which I love. I think I definitely wanted three.
Yeah.
So I'm lucky enough to have that now.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
I know.
So, thank you for coming on. I think that this has been, yeah, just really nice for people to sort of
Mm,
tune in and ask questions if they want, and it's been really nice. Everyone's been really up for it,
yeah.
sort of to pass the time and hopefully kind of create some kind of entertainment for people. So normally I just kind of get into how we, talk about how we met and stuff, and then sort of we can just look at the questions and anything that pops up. Feel free to answer
Sure.
whenever, and yeah, we'll just go from there. Do you
Okay.
remember how we met? I think it was at the read through.
I do. I remember it was the first. It was the read through, and I was like one of the only newcomers
Newcomer.
at the read through. So it was
How
so.
was that? How was that for you? And you
And
was
I was
just
late as well. So when I walked in, I think the entire cast and crew were already sat down.
oh dear. So
But I
everyone
was
was just like,
late for a costume fitting, so I didn't feel that bad, but it was pretty intimidating coming in, kind of,
and
yeah.
everyone was like eyeing you up and down.
I know, it was just a bit, and I hadn't seen any of the scripts.
Really? So you
Yeah,
hadn't, right? So you were just cold reading on the
I was
day.
reading them, and I was like, oh my god, this is so intimidating.
That I can just imagine. And so you, when you came on board, you you had just found out you were pregnant, right?
I had just found out, yeah, I got the part, and then literally about 5 days later, I found out I was pregnant. And so
What was going through your mind then? Like, did you think that you
well,
might have?
well, I've done a movie pregnant before and
Oh, you
not
have, right?
told the production straight away. You know, it was my first pregnancy, and I, you know, wanted to do the whole 3-month thing.
Yeah.
So I was filming pregnant then, and nobody knew, and I was really sick, and so it was just really difficult to be so ill and not be able to tell anyone why, and like be hiding it, and it was just a weird.
Yeah. And on this, you had to ride a lot of horses, or you were supposed to.
Yeah. So on this, and I didn't think I wasn't sure if I'd be able to do it. So as soon as I found out I was pregnant, I mean, I must have been literally a matter of weeks pregnant, but
yeah,
I told my agent, and I was like, we've got to tell them because I probably can't do the job.
Yeah.
And then we told them, and I think all the producers were on like a location scout, and they'd like just cast me. And then I was like, actually, I'm pregnant, and I will be heavily pregnant by the end of filming. And so I think they all hung up the phone and kind of panicked for a minute. And then Debbie, who's the writer and producer,
yeah,
rung me back and was like, do you feel like you could do it? You know,
yeah,
is there any reason that you feel like you couldn't do it because you're pregnant? And I said, absolutely not. Of course I feel like I can do it. But I will, you know, I will be showing, and we'll have to work around that. But I don't think, you know, I don't think I should lose the job just because I'm pregnant. But
yeah, it's a tricky one, and I remember thinking this is kind of a pickle, and I don't really know how people would solve it. And I'm just so impressed with how they accommodated you, and how, like, you know, if you hadn't, you know, if no one knew you had kids, they wouldn't have known ever you know, you were dealing with all of that filming. And it just goes to show that you don't have to be out of work as an actress.
No, and I think it's really
if
hard.
You're pregnant.
Yeah, because it's, you know, it's so difficult to be out of work as an actor and as a woman. You know, if you're taken out for, you know, essentially your entire pregnancy, because, you know, unless you're doing a very short job at the beginning, and then you're going to take, you know, then you're going to have a young baby, and so, you know, you're taking out potentially a year and a half.
Yeah.
On time for someone to be not in work, and you know, not just from an earning point of view, but also from, you know, being in the game and being, you know, seen by casting directors and remembered for roles. And so
completely,
I think, yeah, to know that you can do it and to kind of push for productions to work around it, because and, you know, luckily with Poldark, you know, it was led by there was women in kind of in sort of influential roles on that.
Yeah.
With Debbie, who's, you know, got lots of children, and Karen, who has children too, and you know, they knew that, you know, when you're pregnant, you're not sick, and although you do feel not the best all the time, it can. And I think another really great thing was that they did it, but I also made it very clear to them that meant that for the following series,
when I would have to be breastfeeding,
I was planning on breastfeeding, and that was the way that I wanted to mother, and so they were going to have to accommodate that. And I also gave them a, you know, warning that my older son never took a bottle, so it was likely that I was going to have to be with the baby on set. And again,
which you did. You had someone to help you, but you were breastfeeding, and you had your oldest with you, and you were just doing it all. It was extremely impressive, and I think it took away a lot of stigma and fear, you know, for everyone in the environment, because I think, I mean, I don't, you know, most of you tuning in probably, you know, don't think about this, but becoming pregnant as a young actress is something that we worry about a lot. And we try and time, which is really hard to, you know, everyone knows this, you can't really time these things. You know, if you're ready to have kids, you just have to do it. And you don't know when your job is, you know, when they're going to be dry spells or when they're not. You have to take the opportunity. So it was just a really good, it really sort of made me go, okay, well, my life doesn't have to, like, the work doesn't have to completely dry up, and things can be organized for you.
Yeah, and they do that. I mean, they organize around all sorts of things. You know, organizing around a baby and a pregnant woman is not actually that hard. There's so much waiting time on set anyway. If I think, you know, it probably was quite a difficult job for the first scheduling, and you know, having to fit the entire schedule around Shiloh's feeds. But
Yeah.
it was done, you know,
Yeah.
and it worked. It was a little mad, and I don't think I probably didn't really sleep for 6 months. But
Yeah. And
it
a lot of people don't know this, but like it just sort of happened that way, didn't it? That you ended up doing like your more intimate scenes when you were really showing, right?
so pregnant, yeah. I think my first scene with Luke where we have to kiss, I was like literally 8.5 months pregnant. So he basically had
It's so typical.
a bump in order to kiss me. It was just completely weird.
Yeah. But they made it work. And people are asking a lot about Horace. Was he always a part of Caroline's character? I think he was, wasn't he? But he was quite convenient for a bump hide, wasn't he?
He was not put in the story for the sake of hiding a bump, but he was very convenient for hiding a bump. So
yeah.
At the beginning it was carrying him a lot, and then it became literally sitting down with him on my lap, and then eventually I think he wasn't big enough, and so I was just sitting behind a lot of desks and things.
Yeah, he's not that big. He's heavy though.
Very heavy, and also not the same dog the whole way through. The first Horace wasn't that heavy, and then the second Horace way bigger and really heavy.
I remember.
I think a way of carrying him as well on one arm, which I could do with the first one.
Right.
And then like sort of giant dog having to lug around.
Yeah, I mean, I remember thinking I was so jealous that you had this like sidekick, because I just love dogs, and it would have been so much fun to have a dog all the time. But it was quite a lot of work, wasn't it?
It was fine. I mean, you didn't really have to do that much, so it wasn't like kind of having to work with a dog. We were trying to to train them a bit to like do what you need them to do in the scene, because I was generally just carrying him. But he's so noisy. Pugs are so noisy. I mean, I have a bulldog. They're so noisy. So any scene with him in, I had to ADR the entire scene.
Right. Yes, because they have those breathing issues.
Yeah. So that was always. I just knew if he was in the scene, which was pretty much all of my scenes, I was going to have to ADR the whole thing.
Yeah. Oh my God. And then how did they end up doing? Because I know that they wanted Caroline to ride a lot, and she ended up, as the character did. How did they sort of make that happen for you, since like when you're pregnant you're not really supposed to ride, right?
No, I wasn't allowed to ride in the first series, so I was allowed to sit on the horse if someone was holding the horse, so they could kind of shoot me on the horse but never shoot the whole horse, because there would always be someone holding the horse.
Yeah.
And then
which is a shame really, because you are a skilled rider, aren't you?
Not sure I'm so skilled, but I have that's probably what I said in my audition. It's like yeah I'm sort of stunt level riding.
Right, yeah. Don't we all? I can ice skate too.
Yeah, but no, I think it would have been fun to have done more riding. I was quite jealous of Eleanor, and
and they were lucky.
Scenes with the horses on the beaches and stuff, but I got to do a bit kind of later on. But also, to be honest, it was so different because it's side saddle, which is pretty terrifying.
Yeah. No.
But yeah, there was an amazing stunt woman for me for the first series, who had an amazing name. She was called Annalise Ferrari.
Yes. Oh yeah, Ferrari. She was my my stunt person as well on the it must have been third series, because I had that big horse stunt in the beginning of the episode. Where
How much stuff did you do?
That was it really. Well, I rode less and less. As like the more domesticated I got, like the more domesticated Elizabeth got, the less she would go out and ride, kind of, which was a shame really. So because I just would have less and less in Cornwall, because there would be less stuff outside. But I did all the riding apart from that scene, because it wasn't really dangerous. It was just so it was fine. But I mean, when you think about it, what was she doing riding a horse like 8 months pregnant?
I know.
I guess they're different times.
Yeah, because you had to do that. And then you must have shot some of that on the horse, not all the stunts. Woman with
it was
a pregnancy bump. That must have been quite weird.
Yeah, it was pretty hard because it's just in the way, and like your side saddle, so like the thighs are like squishing. I mean, obviously it's not your real belly, but it's like this doesn't look good. I'm like, I'm ginormous, and I'm wearing this like, I was wearing this like wool piece that was like super big, and then they still wanted to kind of do the corseted silhouette, and I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Like I don't know. No wonder people were smaller back then.
I know.
You know?
Yeah, it's kind of mad. I got out of the corsets for a bit because I think when I was pregnant, I wore them at the beginning, but then very quickly I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And then
were you back in them, I guess, for most of the rest of the time?
Well, I kind of got off quite light because when I was actually pregnant, I stopped wearing them about a month in because it was not good for me.
Yeah.
And then in the following series, Caroline was pregnant, so I wasn't in corsets that much. And then in the series, we'd moved on in time, so then it became that kind of Empire line waist.
Oh yeah.
We weren't in corsets anymore, so
yeah, you just kind of got away with wearing like brassieres because you didn't really need to, because they would just fall straight down. Yeah. I remember you and I tried to implement the soup, like the soup for lunch because we were so restricted, and there would be these big stodgy meals, which I mean I loved, I would eat anyway, but we realized that having a liquid lunch would probably be easier.
Would provide a bit less indigestion after.
Have you seen any questions that have you noticed any questions that you would like to answer?
I haven't been concentrating.
How did you cope doing the scene when baby Sarah died? How was that for you? I remember that day.
That was a really weird day because I had Shiloh on set. Did I have Shiloh on set? Yeah, I think I did.
Oh, I was on the day of the funeral, but this must probably be a different one, right? Yeah.
Yes. I'm just trying to remember because I think I had my son on set, so I was kind of running between filming those scenes and then going back to a trailer with my baby, and it was just quite strange. But I think it was a nice storyline to have done with Luke because we both had really young children at the time, so it was kind of, it was a very kind of dark place to go. You know, in your mind, I was doing it alongside someone who really kind of understood, you know, having just had a young baby, how that would feel. And it was really really sad storyline, but also a really interesting one, and one that I think especially Caroline's sort of reaction to her grief was particularly interesting.
It was very in keeping with her nature.
Yeah, and I just think it's nice to show that, you know, not everybody grieves in the same way, and there's not an appropriate or a right way to do that, and I think it was well written, that.
People are asking a lot about Luke. You mentioned that you guys had, you know, interestingly, you guys sort of, your lives were quite parallel in terms of like what you were going through in your personal life, you know, having kids at a similar time, and so there was a lot to have in common when you guys were working together, right?
There was. I got on really well with Luke, and he still good friends with him, and we went through kind of, I already had a child, but then he had his first, and then I, you know, had Shiloh very soon after, and so I mean, I think we were literally even sharing baby stuff. I'd like lent him my high chair and like bring it.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And it was sweet, you know. Then our kids have kind of hung out and played together, and
oh, really?
Yeah, and so it's just kind of nice. Yeah, it's just really lovely to be working with somebody who gets it, especially, you know, when you are going through having young kids, and you know how tired you are, and the sort of emotional minefield of it all, and then you're trying to turn up to work and balance and just that, and so to have someone that you're working with day to day that's in exactly the same space is really helpful.
No, it's you guys had a lovely relationship as the characters, and you could tell that you guys got on really well as partners. So that was lovely. I saw some questions, but now I've forgotten what they were. Would you
They go
Turn filming. Oh, people are... Sorry, say
Someone said,
again.
am I pregnant again? And someone just said, am I pregnant again? I am not pregnant again.
Also, guys, Poldark is over. We're not. There's not gonna
No,
be any more.
there's never going to be another one. That's it.
Sorry. Maybe the next generation, you know, our kids and stuff.
Yeah, but we're definitely out.
Mm. What was your favorite season? Oh yeah, we are. What was your favorite season to film?
I don't know. I think they were all really different for me. I really loved this, I get in a muddle which season is which now, but the season with my storyline with Sarah dying and all of that, I really loved, although it was kind of a difficult storyline.
Yeah.
Also, you know, it was really a great kind of thing to explore and to tell that story, and so I really loved that. And then I also quite loved my first season because although it was tough being pregnant and kind of coming into the show like that, but that's when Caroline kind of was sort of her funniest, and so she was very rude and very sharp, and I really enjoyed playing all of that, you know, and there was like a real humor to her.
Yeah.
And then she kind of, you know, then it kind of got a bit more into her life and the kind of sort of more heavier storylines, and she actually formed relationships with people, and then she became a bit more kind of humane. But at the beginning, I really enjoyed that sort of sharpness to her. It was just kind of
fun. Me too. I mean, people always ask like, what other character would you want to play? And I often say like George, or I say, you know, what character would you like to be like? And I say probably Demelza. But actually, if I got a chance to play Caroline, like that sharp wit and that kind of like precociousness that she had, that one must have been so fun to do.
Yeah, it was really fun. And I think just to kind of have that quick wit and often be kind of dropping lines and leaving scenes, and everyone's kind of catching up with what you've just said after you've left. And I don't know, it's just fun to play a character that's sharp like that too. I think so often, you know, female characters are sort of nice, or, you know, kind of they're just propping up the scene. So it was nice to kind of come in and be slightly cutting occasionally.
Yeah, just be a bit more edgy. Speaking of, I know you and I sort of have a similar background in the way that we started, well, not necessarily started acting, but we both have a modeling background before we started acting. Do you find that the roles were quite sort of, but you know, bracketed in what they kind of expected you to be able to do, or that, you know, did you often find that you were going up for roles that really only had something to do with your looks?
Yeah, I think definitely. I mean, I think anyone from, you know, whatever their type is, you know, gets cast into a box very quickly. And you know, your sort of first fight is to get a role, and then to get a few more, and then you realize they're all the same, and then it's to kind of get out of that box. And so, but you know, I think it's something, I think at the beginning I really would sort of fight against, and I felt really kind of hard done by a lot, and sort of
the model slash actress.
And you know, and the fight to be seen as more than that, and all of that. And then I think I realized that everyone has their own version of that.
That is true.
So it's just something that, you know, as an actor you want to play lots of different things, but of course you're seen as what you are initially, and then you just got to kind of fight to show more of yourself. And you know, the difficulty is you get, you know, 10-15 minutes in an audition room to try and show all of who you are, which is next to impossible. But I guess it's the same across anything really. In any industry, you're going to be judged on face value at first, and then
that's true, of what you look like regardless.
Yeah.
Do you feel though that the industry tends to be harder on women that look a certain way, or just women in general?
I don't know. I think I find it really hard to sort of assume that I could speak for all women, or for, you know, I can only speak from my sort of position, you know, and then vaguely from close friends and what I know that they've struggled with. But I think generally, yeah, there is inequality in what women are faced with or what they believe that they can do. But I also think that's changing, and it's a positive thing that it's changing. And so, you know, while acknowledging there's a way to go, I also think that it's nice to acknowledge how far we've come. And from my personal experience, you know, going into Poldark and, you know, saying that I'm pregnant and not losing my job because of it, and then insisting that I have my child on set and that I'm going to breastfeed in between scenes, and that if I feel like I can do that, then they should too.
Yeah.
That was made okay, and as it should be, because, you know, it sort of should be my choice, not theirs, you know, what I do. And so, yeah, I think from my perspective, that has come a long way. You know, even from the film I did when I was pregnant, that I just felt treated so differently second time around being pregnant on a film set. But I think a lot of that came from how I behaved, because I think the first time I was younger and I was more scared and I was more apologetic.
Yeah.
Of myself and my life.
Like, and you had more to lose, and it was the first time.
Exactly, and I was trying to fit a mold that I thought I had to fit into and to please. And then the second time round, I wasn't so afraid to ask for what I wanted or what I needed.
Yeah.
And when I did, it, you know, I was very lucky that, you know, room was made for me to have that.
Yeah, that's great. And you're right, it is changing a lot. And it is, and it sort of feels like a completely different life than like 10 years ago when you were going into castings or auditions and sort of kind of being thought as a much more one-dimensional person.
Yeah.
And we are lucky that we've been in a series that like developed the character from all sides.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
sort of we got to grow into women.
Yeah.
And not just sort of serve, again, a one-dimensional purpose. So that in itself has allowed us to sort of break out of a certain image, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I would hope. I don't know. You know, I think there's a point where you've got to let go of how people view you, because, you know, it's
how can there's no way. The more you fight, the more you like fight against how people see you. I think the less likely you are to actually win that fight.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Did we have any scenes together?
We didn't have that many.
We didn't have that many, did we?
We didn't have that many scenes with that many people. I was just kind of with Luke or Eleanor.
Yeah, that's the thing. And like, because you and Caroline and Demelza had developed a really strong friendship, which kind of just made it impossible for Elizabeth and Caroline to be friends, even though kind of
they should have been probably more.
It would have made a lot of sense that they would have been friends. But we did have some stuff at the beginning, because someone was asking what was our favorite scene together, but I was like, I don't know. I remember.
I think also later on we would have had scenes sort of where I was with Eleanor, but there was a lot of animosity between you guys. It wasn't, you know, I wasn't often like with you in the scene, but you know, we'd be kind of scowling at each other across the room. But I think
we did have one.
Remember in the first series now what I did.
I know, I don't remember either. I feel like I didn't see you I mean, I saw you on set, but I don't remember us having any scenes in the second series.
No.
I remember we had a scene at your, like, at Caroline's place in London, and you had the dog, and I just married George, and it was like a sort of newlywed trip, and
you know,
he wanted you to like introduce us into high society. That was quite nice.
Yeah, in that really ornate room. I remember that.
Very ornate, but I loved filming in that room because it was really nice and warm, and a lot of these places we were always cold, weren't we?
Always freezing and slightly damp.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, because we were always in these old places.
I know.
No, they were beautiful, but that one was particularly nice and warm.
Yeah, it had a nice room, like nice green room where we didn't have to like sit basically on top of the heater.
Yeah, exactly. What's your how do you feel about acting now? What have you been up to? I mean, I know that you're like, I know you're a mother of three, but
Yeah.
have you been up to anything since Full Dog ended?
Well, no, because I've sort of been I mean, I've done like little things here and there. I think the last acting thing I did was Wonder Woman, which hasn't come out yet still.
Which will come out soon.
Yeah, I don't even know when that's coming out. I think it constantly gets pushed back, but and obviously again probably now.
Yeah.
But no, I'm sort of just home at the moment. I mean, my son has just turned 6 months, so
How is it? How is he?
being home and kind of being mum. He's great, and yeah, he's luckily he's quite a calm baby. Shiloh, my middle one, was not so calm. So
That's nice that you got a calm one. What have you guys been doing to pass the time?
Well, do you know what? I think passing the time when you have 3 children is not an issue.
I wouldn't know.
We wake up and it's like, okay, brace yourself, here we go again. Rather than everyone's like, oh, you should watch this on Netflix or you should watch that. I'm like, I have not watched a single thing on Netflix, and
I've only watched Peppa Pig.
Like, I have not had any time for that, and it would be lovely, but at the same time, you know, they are an absolute sort of gift in this time, you know, as they always are. But
yeah,
you know, because we're completely kept in a routine, you know. I am, you know, I feel like the only thing I feel like I actually don't leave the kitchen. That is the one thing I sort of wake up and then feel like between basically feeding them all and then tidying up, it's just a constant process.
It is constant now, isn't it? Because like you're preparing all the meals, and I know that we're just doing it for us, but even then, like like you just cleaned it, and then you're like, oh, but now I have to make the next meal, and it's.
I know. When I'm like, I'll do their breakfast, I'm like, okay, fine, I have to tidy that up. I'll actually have something to eat now, and then they're like, I want a snack, and then it's kind of just, you know, you just constantly go. But I think it's yeah, like I said, I'm very grateful that I have a very busy household right now, because I can imagine being alone would be tough.
That would be tough. Is it what's it like in the countryside? I mean, do you feel it less, or is it just kind of?
Well, I don't really have anything to compare it to, because I think when I last was in London, it was right at the beginning of this, and so it wasn't really a thing over here yet. I think, you know, there was whispers of it sort of in China, really. It hadn't really left there yet.
Yeah.
There wasn't such a strange atmosphere around it all. But yeah, here it's fine. I think there's quite a sort of strong sense of community where I live already.
That's nice.
So with this, that's just sort of heightened, and you know, although it's a strange time, there's a lot of sort of beautiful things that have come out of it. And you know, we go out every Thursday with the kids and do the clap, and you know, our whole street does it. And you know, we live opposite an amazing saxophone player, and he plays the saxophone on Thursdays, and my kids go out and do that. And there are things like that that are just really moving. And they're simple, but they're really wonderful. And that I really love, sort of that side of things. And kind of, I think, you know, living in a small town, that there is a huge sense of community already. So
that sounds amazing. Do you ever miss living in the city, or are you just quite happy?
No, I don't. I think the more, I mean, I moved out of London 6 years ago, nearly.
Right. Yeah.
And I think the longer I get away from living in a city, the more I'm like, I don't even like going back there for any time at all.
Yeah. I can imagine moving out of the city and not really needing to go, especially when you have kids, because you have your commitments then and your routine, and it's not like, you know, I wonder maybe if you moved before you have kids, then you might feel like you're missing out sometimes. But then, you know, once you have kids,
I think so. I mean, I have my sisters have children and they live in London, and there's lots of like pros to being in London, and you know, having that culture and museums and all that kind of stuff on the doorstep. But
there's a lot to take kids to.
Person to person, like I think I'm just probably a bit of a recluse though. Quite happy.
Yeah, and it was so convenient for you, wasn't it? That was that at least you
Yeah.
had over all of us, that Gabriella was actually the only one who didn't have to be put up in Bristol because she was so close to filming that you.
That was so lucky because I think I moved out of London, and my agents at the time were like, okay, well, that's nice for you, but you know, how are you going to work from, you know, the middle of nowhere in Somerset? And then
And then just like voila.
and then yeah, and then Poldark came up, and it was just mad because they were filming out of Bristol, and so which was
Yeah.
just under an hour from where I lived. So that was just so lucky to be able. Although the only thing that was kind of sad about it is you guys sort of had such a lovely group of sort of you would do so much together.
Yeah, we did miss your presence.
Because I would, you know, be like running to the car at the end of the day to get back because of the
To get back. Yeah, but like, I mean, even if you, I mean, sure, you would have to spend more time, I guess, in Bristol, but even if you did, you still had children that you had to get back to. So
yeah,
even if you were close, you probably wouldn't have been able to hang as much as the rest of us.
yeah.
But yeah, no, we did miss you in that way. Hopefully we can make up for it one day, maybe all of us with kids.
I know.
Just do a big party or something.
I know.
So have you got any weekend plans?
No, I sort of lost kind of track with weekdays and weekends. I'm sort of like, but no, not really. I mean, we're sort of ever trying to just sort out our house while looking after the kids, but it's a very slow process with 3 children. So
yeah, I can imagine.
So yeah, we just kind of haven't really got any plans, just sort of day by day, you know.
What is with this guy, Cam? Can you like? I don't know how to block people. Can you be nice and polite and stop talking about porn?
Oh God.
It's just we're just 2 people chatting, so leave us alone, please.
Yeah, you're very good, Heather, at reading the comments while talking. I've been terrible.
Well, I think every time I get like a little better at it. But the first time I was like,
you can be like a newsreader after this.
Yeah.
The teleprompter.
Yeah, we'll probably all have to find new jobs.
I know. Are you writing?
Yeah, I am writing actually. I have I'm writing by myself, which is a slower process than writing with my partner that I have as well, for a project. So that is really like a saving grace in this climate, to feel like you can be developing stuff regardless of whether it gets made or not. But yeah, that's kept me sane. I love cooking, I love baking. I'm working out way more than I ever have.
Yeah.
This is surprisingly given me the routine that I've always been craving and sort of kind of trying to fight against.
Yeah.
Because I'm quite chaotic, but I don't think that the actual chaos serves me very well. You know, it doesn't make me very healthy.
Yeah.
So when I don't have excuses to go this and there or eat there, and it just kind of, that's why I'm like, oh, it is Monday to Friday, and tonight, like, I'll have a glass of wine, and tomorrow I'll have something, you know, something like I'll order a takeout or something. And so I know what day it is just because I'm trying to stay in a routine. So yeah, it's been really nice. Someone asked earlier if you were vegan. I don't think you are you?
No, I'm not vegan. I'm not.
Lucas, though, I think he still is. Yeah.
He went vegan while we were filming, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
And
and I did for a while, and my husband still is.
Yeah, I did for a while too, but I found it hard filming, and I also found it hard. I just found it hard with 3 children.
It is hard filming because vegan food, unless you prepare it yourself, or you're going somewhere where you know they do it well, it can be very dull.
Yeah. I think on set your sort of options were sort of plain pasta or rice, which is not vegan food.
No.
but no, I'm in admiration of anyone who is, and I maintain I will try to be one day, I think, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of go through phases. So you basically eat everything.
Pretty much. I don't really eat that much meat. I've never been
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
my diet is probably generally vegan, but not kind of because I'm saying I'm vegan. I just don't, that's the food that I like, but no, I'm not sort of strictly vegan.
Yeah. Do you have any dinner plans tonight?
No, well, when we finish this, I'll be cooking dinner for the boys. I don't know. I mean, the cooking thing is nice with this when you can get
Are they
food, but
are they picky eaters, or will they just eat mostly
one
anything?
of them is probably a more adventurous eater than I am. And one of them basically just likes yellow and white food. And so trying to get him to eat anything green or anything like that is a bit of the task. But I think he's all right. He's still alive.
Yeah. What's how old is that one?
He just turned 4. He just had his birthday last week.
Oh wow.
It was a bit sad because he was desperate to have a birthday party, and obviously
how are they coping with it? How do you, interestingly, how do you talk to your kids about this? Like, how do you can you explain this and that, or do you just have to kind of tell them this is
policy with my kids has always just been honesty. I'm like very, very honest, and I think for me, they're more scared when you give them half truths because they sort of make up the rest in their head, and it's usually scarier than the actual truth. And so I'm very honest with them, and they ask about it. I think my youngest, it goes a bit over his head. He thinks coronavirus is a sort of thing rather than a virus. I think he thinks it's like almost like a monster, but he doesn't get that scared of it. He just asked me if coronavirus is still out there every day. And my oldest is sort of asked quite a lot about it, but he's quite he's sort of 6 going on 70. He always has been, so
right.
Sort of kind of accepted it and sort of he generally has quite sort of philosophical things to say about it.
So you just say like, I mean, you just flat out be like, there's a virus out there that makes people sick and we have to be careful.
Yeah, I say that, and I say, you have to, obviously they have to wash their hands, or, if they, if we go out for a walk, I say they have to make sure they don't go closer than 2 meters to anybody, which obviously prompts further questions from them.
Right.
And if they ask me a question, I try to answer it honestly, with language that they can understand and without, information that they don't need. But generally, I'm pretty honest about everything with them.
Have you ever gone into a situation where they ask you a question where you're just like, oh, I don't really want to answer this with honesty, but I have to?
Yeah, loads of times, but you can kind of try to. But I think since we've had kids, it's just always been our policy that kind of that we'll just be honest with them. And that
what are the type of questions that they tend to ask?
Oh my god, all sorts. But I mean, my younger one asked me kind of more basic questions. My older one asked me questions that sometimes I really can't answer because they're quite existential. And they often come, when I'm desperately trying to get them to go to sleep at about 8 o'clock at night, and I can't explain, what's beyond the sort of sky where it goes blue and then it goes black, and what's beyond that, and things like that.
It must be so beautiful, though, to like have your child be so inquisitive.
Oh yeah, it is. It's amazing, and he definitely provokes some interesting conversations, and some very funny ones. But yeah, it's. I mean, it's a minefield. You never know what you're doing. If what you're doing is right, you're just making it up as you go along, like everyone else.
Oh, that's lovely. Do you guys do lots of arts and crafts and stuff like that?
We do a bit. I think I love that stuff, and I would like to do more. But the older they get, the more kind of they're becoming little boys, and they
like to run around and
crafts, but they quite want to be destructive, so they want to kind of smash things and break things.
Yeah, my nephew's like
that. So sitting colouring is not. Basically, I set it up and then I just do it on my own, and they disappear and go and do something, and then I realise that I'm just doing it by myself.
Oh yeah, no, I've done that with my nieces and nephews, and then I end up being the only one actually doing it, and I'm the one that is like coloring and yeah,
I
doing stuff
know.
like that. That's nice. And your
Yeah,
dog, you said you had a bulldog.
I do. Yeah, we have an English bulldog, Lenny.
Oh,
Yeah,
lovely.
I know. You don't
Just
have,
the one. Sorry?
do you have a pet? No.
No, 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 not at the moment. Definitely soon. Um,
Yeah.
definitely ready for one. Yeah.
What, you gonna
Um,
get a dog?
sorry.
Are you gonna get a dog or a
Yeah,
cat?
yeah, absolutely. I'm sort of constantly sort of shopping, and I've even contacted some breeders and stuff, and constantly like keeping my eye out. I pine for dogs.
Do you?
Yeah, I pine for dogs the way that most women pine for babies. I mean, I want to have kids, but I think a dog is just the natural first step for me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's going to be interesting with Sam because he's not really a dog person,
Oh,
but
really?
my dad was the same, and he finally agreed to let me and my sister get mum a dog, like when she had some knee issues and she couldn't kind of exercise as much and she's feeling sad, and we were like, I think getting a dog would really help. And so he agreed to it, and now they're like thick as thieves.
Oh, like, yeah. You just got to get one and then.
Yeah, so I think that he's gonna love, I think he's gonna love a dog as soon as we do.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think unless there's any questions that you noticed that you'd like to pick up.
I've been terrible at looking at the questions.
No, that's fine. There's lots of favorite Caroline scene that you can think of.
Favorite Caroline scene. Oh, I don't know. I think one of my favorite scenes was actually with Luke when they knew that Sarah was going to die, and they sort of almost having an argument about it, and Ross was there. And
Oh yeah, it was very well written.
really, really well written, because you'd think, oh, they would just be sort of together and loving in that moment, maybe, but then you realize actually they would be so confused and frightened that they just sort of got angry at each other.
Yeah.
And I really loved doing that scene with him. That was really kind of well written. And then there's just other sort of fun scenes. Like I had a lot of fun scenes with Demelza.
Yeah.
Just kind of being silly together, or kind of,
You guys were quite
kind of funny with sort of some of the male characters and stuff like that.
yeah, you guys had a lot of like tricks up your sleeves together, didn't you?
Yeah.
You did a whole, I remember like a sequence where you kind of like charmed what was it? You charmed everyone into something, or like,
can't even remember now.
can't remember what it was.
We filmed it and we were sitting on two chairs and they just kept bringing different people in, sort of like trying to, I think it was Bassett and someone else, and we were trying to kind of manipulate them into some master plan that we had.
Yeah. What was the worst, someone asked, what was the worst scene that you filmed, and the funniest moment that you had?
I think the first scene was actually Sarah's funeral, because do you remember the rain? You were in that scene. The rain that they did was just so heavy.
It was a rain. It was fake rain.
It was fake rain, but it was sort of so strong, because often you can't see it on camera, so they wanted it to look like heavy rain, which meant it had to be sort of ridiculously heavy. And I just remember trying to walk and be really, it was a really heavy scene, but this rain was so ridiculous that it was kind of just making me laugh / we were all freezing, and it was just kind of this.
Yeah, and wearing those costumes, like those big brimmed hats and like those heavy petticoats and stuff, and just being soaked. It was not nice.
Yeah.
It was really hard actually to watch, because you were going through a more stoic thing, because you just kind of, your character wasn't kind of coming to terms with it in the way that Dwight was. And it was really hard to see Luke on that day, knowing that, that he had a baby girl around the same age, and just sort of to have to go there, kind of really hit all of us even harder, because we were walking behind him carrying a small coffin, and it was just,
Yeah, it
felt
was like strange, that, wasn't it? Like even just sort of having a small coffin on set was just very sort of bizarre.
very
Where you're
uncomfortable.
kind of thinking this is such a weird job.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, how many kids though, unfortunately, passed away in that show?
I know.
It's
I
quite
know.
a few, but I guess that was just kind of the.
And what Demels's dog Garrick, who seemed to be live
Did,
forever, because it was in he was in the first and then was still alive in the last one when there was babies that were now like 18 in the last series, and it was like what was this dog?
dog. There were definitely some timeline issues.
Yeah,
Didn't you weren't you like pregnant for like a year?
yeah, I think so. I was pregnant for about a year, and then sort of I don't know. There was a lot of timeline weird stuff. I think the dogs thing was hilarious because Horace like. And just I think it was just weird because they just seemed to live forever, the dogs, and then
They were just like cartoon characters.
yeah, it just sort of it was like there was a lot of kind of I think artistic license with timelines.
Yeah, I mean, I remember thinking that some of it didn't add up, and then it just didn't seem to matter because yeah, it all sort of worked out. So
Yeah.
um final thoughts, anything that you want to share, or
I don't know really.
what do you
I
miss
feel a
most?
bit bad. I haven't looked at any of the questions, but
Oh, that's all right. I've kind of been skimming
okay.
through them. What did you miss most about the gig, about Polydog?
I think I miss the people, like you and everyone. Everyone was so lovely on it.
Yeah, I know it's been a lot. I haven't seen you. This has been really nice to catch up. I haven't seen you for the longest time because obviously I left.
I know.
A year before.
Yeah, I know.
You guys all finished.
It's sort of, I think I've never done a job before that was like a TV show that went on for so long. I'd only ever done jobs where it was sort of 3-4 months and then up again. And so to work with people for that long, and then it all just sort of disband and be done.
Yeah,
quite a strange thing.
And we would have had, you and I would have had the same time experience, except for just you a year after.
Yeah, and I think it's I think sort of while we were filming, I think as ever, like you are at every job, there was a lot of like moaning and stuff like that, like I'm cold and I'm
cold, this is long.
And then looking back sort of on reflection, it was such a great job, and
it really was.
And I sort of I feel really grateful that I did it, and that it was with the people that it was with.
Yeah, agreed. Well, I'm very grateful to have got to meet you and get to know you, and I hope I see you face to face soon. It would be really nice.
I know. When this is all over, we can have a little reunion, maybe.
Yeah, well, I would love to go, to the West Country.
Yeah, well,
some point, and then hopefully I can hit you up and we can.
Yeah, definitely
have some tea.
Yeah.
Well,
lovely.
Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you, everybody that tuned in.
Yeah,
it's been lovely.
Yeah. All right, Heather.
Take care.
Yeah, you too.
Have a good weekend. Lots of love.
Bye.
Bye.